All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London is One podcast. Hopefully your favorite Chelsea podcast out there and a part of the Men in Blazers Media Network, coming to you at time of recording Friday morning, April 4th, 12:05 a.m. in London after Chelsea smacked Spurs 1-0, a fantastic home win, important for charting their destiny for Champions League football next season and securing Ange a 5-year deal as Spurs manager. That absolutely has to be what happens next. But again, Dan here along with Nick, we are excited to talk about this wonderful win at Stamford Bridge in front of the faithful as a part of our trip, ending the series of matches that we're going to here, Nick. Just tell me how you feeling. Vibes high, right?
I mean, I have been drinking for now 6 days, and we really put on a show today. Like, it was a top-notch day. We had many drinks. And if you can tell by my voice, for those who are listening, we're a little haggard right now, a little shouting at the referees, a little cheering on the club. And I'll tell you, as far as atmospheres go at Stamford Bridge, when we've been to quite a few games at home, it was probably the best atmosphere that I've experienced. It was a wonderful atmosphere in there.
Yeah, great home atmosphere under the lights in a midweek fixture. Not great in terms of make it easy for the home supporters to be able to attend a Premier League game, but hey, that's modern football, and so we just all have to suffer through it. We do have some through match reviews I want to kind of get through here because I do think that there were a couple. MJ had the why not red, talking about the challenge that clearly should have been reofficiated as red, but that did not happen in this one. We have Xander with the Spurs suck mate. Shout out to our friend Ange. We had Mr. Thurman with the spurred themselves again. And then I'm going to round out on the Glees with the pod trip W's because we've been catching a lot of heat.
Yeah, I don't know.
For our record. And I think our record of attending games is much better. And again, anybody wants to go out and do the research on it, I think it's going to be better than you think. But
I think it's going to be probably 70% or better. So the fact that the women didn't win while we were over here is the
most shocking result. That was the most shocking result of our trip.
Yeah, it's a bold claim by those who want to make it. However, I don't really care. And the fact of the matter is, Dan, that we have seen yet another huge derby win for Chelsea. We saw Chelsea beat Leeds up in Leeds.
We did.
That was fun, right? We have seen Chelsea do lots of fun things, including win Champions League matches and Champions League trophies.
And you want to remind people of that, huh?
It turns out that we were in Porto, and I think we need to remember how great
going
that
back
was.
There. Yeah.
It's been a while, to be fair, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I will just say, like, we talked to Matt on the Wednesday pod about what this atmosphere would potentially look like and how, coming back from an international break where you're getting some players back from long-term injuries, how this might play out. And Chelsea just flew out of the gates in this one and deserve a ton of credit for the way that they played. It was a wonderful performance. The stats don't tell the story on this one. If you watch this with your eyes, it was a dominant performance. And if not for the referees, this would have been a clear victory.
Yeah, we do know a little bit and have a history as a club with Craig Pawson, but less said about him because on the night you want to celebrate the Chelsea players that got the business done. Obviously, Enzo Maresca putting Cole Palmer back in the lineup, putting Nico Jackson back in the lineup. Huge returns for Chelsea Football Club to have both those players available. No Reece James starting in this match was a question mark for some people, wondering what was going to happen there. Malo Gusto getting a start and eventually featuring on the left wing in this game. There was a lot that maybe transpired. And again, this is a little less of our typical match reviews because we're here in London. We're recording after hanging out with a bunch of people afterwards.
We're so tired. We're so tired.
But that's no excuse. That's no excuse.
I'm making it. I promise you.
The players play hurt. Come on.
If you're watching the YouTube video, the eyes are getting slowly more closed.
There's only a 7 a.m. wake-up call to catch our train to Edinburgh at 8:30. Anyway, we would love to take you through, I think, maybe just some thoughts on the match in particular, on player performances. We'll talk a little bit about some of the fun kind of highlights of our day, close on some trip thoughts, and then get you out of here on this one. But Nick, just maybe from your observation on the performance, who was your player of the match?
There are a lot of really great candidates. I mean, Enzo gets the goal, and I think Enzo had a really good match. I have been critical of Enzo, and I think that this season we're finally seeing more of what he is capable of. So for me, I think he is my player of the match. I do think other candidates include, but are not limited to, Nico Jackson, who was fantastic. Cole Palmer.
Oh, no.
Who was
Pause there. How great was it to have Nico Jackson back in the attack?
Christ.
I mean, just from the moment the first whistle blew, the way that he made life difficult for one of the best defenders in the Premier League, he absolutely haunted them.
Well, some of us don't feel like that, but
I know. But he, like, the way he runs the channels, the way he wins the ball.
Dan, it was immediate. It was the first minute. It couldn't have been more obvious what we have been missing up top. And I know that Nico Jackson is not everybody's cup of tea. Like, I understand that. He is my cup of tea. I have a shirt with him on it this year, and I'm very proud to wear that shirt because I do think he is a really good player. And I had doubts about him last year, but I saw the player that he could be. He did everything today. I mean, the long balls that he chased down, the hold-up play, the passing out of pressure, the runs that were kind of traps for other runs that ended up becoming long passes across the field. We were much more direct with him in the team. We played a much more enjoyable style of football. And look, if not for a little bad luck in the first minute, he could have had 1 or 2 goals in the first 10 or 12 minutes. I mean, it was so fucking obvious what he brings to the team and what we have been missing for the better part of like 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, he did have 2 registered shots in the match, the 14th and 29th minute. So most of his offensive production actually ended up occurring in the first half, not the second half. But again, he's coming back from a long-term injury. He's not been available for a period of time. So
he played what, 80 minutes? 70?
He was subbed off in the 82nd minute for Reece James.
I mean, to
get thrown in that match against Spurs, who play a very, very pressing, aggressive game and would not make it easy for anybody who's playing striker. That's a great performance.
Oh, I mean, it was phenomenal performance. And like, I again, you just hope that you can get your best team to be semi-healthy through the end of the season. Like there will be changes Sunday for sure. Like we can talk about that as we get there, but the fact that you had him for this big of a game, and I think we all knew what the stakes were heading into this game. It was a huge, huge lift, and I think he did lift the crowd. To be candid, like I think having a spearhead up top where you're like, he could do something.
He got so much praise, even as Lee Parker, good friend of the pod, was announcing out the players and the roster. The response that he got being back in the starting lineup was fantastic. The way he got celebrated as he went off was great. Like there was a lot of positive recognition for him. The same could be said too for Cole Palmer, who has had a rough run of maybe just looking a little less fit, trying to find his way back into form. And wow, the way he set up Enzo for that goal. Whew.
Yeah, so this to me, like, look, Spurs are easy to play against. So, like, I'm sure Brentford will be more difficult for whatever reason, right? But
Brentford are a better team, so yes.
Yeah, they're hard.
I'm not lying. That's the way that it works.
I know, it's just hilarious to me. I really do think there was a moment in this game that told me that Cole Palmer is really back. And it's when he tried to chip Vicario and very nearly succeeded. We have been missing, I think, a little bit of his flair, him enjoying the game, him enjoying his football. Because I think when he's enjoying his football, when he's doing the little tricks and flicks, when he's interchanging, when he's trying stuff that feels a little on edge or a little naughty, right? That is when I think he is at his best. And to me, not only was the cross brilliant, I mean, it couldn't have been a better cross, and it was frankly a great finish. But when he's trying stuff like that, it tells me that his mind is a little more clear, right? And that maybe we're going to start getting what we know he can do. I mean, he's an absurd producer. Like he is by far our top producer. You get him and Nico firing towards the end of the season, maybe there's something there for us. But there were moments in this game, he started getting fouled again. He started making those quick turns and springing those really long passes and doing the stuff that we saw at the beginning of the season. It was a tremendous performance from another guy who's coming back from an injury. So really, really pleased for him.
Another player who VAR saved us in one end of the game, and VAR also did us dirty in another part of the game. So I guess it works out on the even. On the day, you kind of walk away saying, I hate VAR, I love VAR, but we didn't get screwed by VAR, so I guess it's okay. But man, Moises Caicedo, the second time he's had a goal chalked off due to VAR against Spurs, that was an absolute banger. We have a guy, Pablo, on the trip wearing the Moises Caicedo jersey, talking about how much he loves seeing fellow countrymen, just in his ability to play and be a part of Chelsea and represent Chelsea, and how important it was to see Moises Caicedo sign for Chelsea. I was more disappointed for our guy Pablo that he did not get a chance to see that goal actually come through. We were all celebrating and looking at him. Yeah, but he had another great game too.
I was so pumped for Pablo, and the pride that you can see, for a player who he clearly feels great affection for. I mean, Caicedo gets dead leg pretty early in this game, right? It has to limp off. You're like, oh boy, not this, not when you just start to get the rest of your team back, and then starts playing through it. I think grows into the game, and of course starts putting in challenges and passes. He started dribbling through 3 or 4 players by the end of the game. So yeah, I mean, this was another big performance from a guy who we needed because, for all of Enzo's qualities, and he was my man of the match. You need Caicedo to be at the top of his game to allow Enzo to do the stuff that we know he can do.
Yeah, very crucial too that he did not pick up a yellow card in this match. It takes us through 30 games played. Needs to make it 2 more. 2 more and extends out to the 15 before any type of suspension. So we are very, very close to him being across the line and getting there. And again, his presence in the game cannot be understated. The way that he won back the ball, the way that he was involved, the way that when he's operating at a great level, similar to Enzo Fernandez, when those two are operating well and owning their areas of the pitch respectively, this Chelsea team is capable of so much more. And I know that first half was frustrating because we had multiple big chances. We had more shots on target. I mean, Tottenham in that first half alone had 0.12 xG to 0.45 for Chelsea, but they had 0 big chances. They only had 2 shots. We had 2 goalkeeper saves. We had 2 big chances. We had 6 total shots. Chelsea were very much in the driver's seat for the first 45 minutes. I think we were all frustrated. I think the home supporters were frustrated that none of the attempts, so there was Jadon Sancho or Nico Jackson, none of those were coming to fruition. But we got rewarded in the second half with the Enzo goal. And it felt nervy at times, but I didn't at any point feel like this Chelsea team, the way it was set up, was out of control in this game. From start to finish, we were in control. The game plan worked. The player selection worked. We weren't as clinical, which is always a criticism of this team. But at the end of the day, it really, reflecting back on it, was kind of a cruise to victory.
It was a dominant performance. I mean, make no mistake about this. I mean, what you saw tonight was Chelsea doing to Spurs what they came here to do to us. End of story. There's nothing else that can be said about it. And, I think the crowd obviously helped to lift the team. I think the team lifted themselves. I thought they, started strong, finished strong in this one. You had players, I want to talk about Trevoh Chalobah here for a second. Players like Trevoh Chalobah who haven't featured a lot recently.
You have to frame it though, right? You have to frame where the big Trev stuff ended up happening, which was
this is what I'm saying. He hasn't featured as much. Comes into a really important game. You find out before the game that Wesley Fofana is injured again. Romeo Lavia continues to be injured. The options that you thought you might have are not there. Yeah. And so you have a guy in Big Trev who every time he's called upon steps up. He scored against Spurs last year, right? Mm-hmm. And plays a huge role in what I think was the physicality and fight, right? There was a foul. Levi Colo makes a foul. Romero comes over, shoves Levi. Trev goes ballistic and absolutely starts tearing Romero a new asshole. And it was a really, really good moment because I think there are plenty of people out there who feel like this team does not have the experience or the fight to make it as a real big Premier League threat, right? And this was a moment to say at a derby game, you're not going to punk us in our own house. I'm not having it. And Trevo's not that guy. He's not a guy that flies off the handle or does crazy shit. He's a really composed. He always has been since a kid. but to see him lose his mind a little bit. And I was just watching Cucurella because I love watching Cucurella in these moments of madness. Cucurella goes over with the biggest smile and he's chinning him, he's like holding him, he's like pretending to hold him back a little bit, and he's chinning him up, and then like they're walking away together and he's like knocking him on the shoulder like, I'm so proud of you, man. Like it was a great moment. And then Trev goes on to play a phenomenal game. He was impenetrable in the air. He was unbelievably good. At the end of the game, he does something really, really funny, which is like, because of the way we play, he was expected to pass back and then blah, 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 blah. He turns two Spurs players and takes it down the wing at the end of the game to try and waste time. It was a huge performance from him. Very, very proud. And I love watching him play when he's at his peak.
It definitely was a more locked-in performance. It felt like everybody understood their responsibility, where they needed to be, what they needed to commit to. I think if there were maybe any criticisms, I like Jadon Sancho didn't have a great performance on the left wing. I mean, obviously he got off 2 shots. One was a very good shot, to be fair. Like, it was a much better shot than we've seen him take.
He should have had 15 shots.
I don't know if he had 15, but
he should have, is what I'm saying. Sure. He had all the opportunities because they were staying off of it.
Maybe overinflated, but we'll say at
100 shots. At least 3. He should have had 100 shots.
Oddly enough, Malo Gusto on SofaScore had the highest rating for any Chelsea player.
He had a great game.
8.0.
We have been critical, and I think rightfully so, because his performances this year in this system have not been very good. He took the Son responsibility on, and I think for all of the way that he was being asked to play, he did a little bit of inverting in this game. He played down the wing. He played some combinations on that right-hand side with Pedro Neto in the first half. I thought he was really, really good. And then he ends up playing left wing at the end of the game, because this is, we went to a back 5, and I think it was one of those scenarios where it's like, who has the legs, who can do this right now? He steps up, he does a job, and it's a little maturity. And it's it's kind of playing the hot hand. If you're Enzo Maresca, he had a great game. Why would you take him out?
Bob Sanchez gets saved from a rather unfortunate giveaway by VAR for
lucky boy.
Yeah, I will tell you, sitting in the stands, it always reminds you of how different it is from a perspective of watching in the stands for watching on broadcast. When you know immediately on broadcast, like, oh yeah, this is gonna need to be re-reviewed, and the stands you're watching is like, where's the review? Is there any commentator talking about this? I need some validation for my opinion that this was a foul in the buildup, and someone needs to call this back. That if you're going to go check the offside on Colwill for the Moises Caicedo goal, you need to do this. There needs to be some reciprocity here in terms of the experience. That did end up happening. And if not for that, I do think there's a very negative conversation around Robert Sanchez that is continuing after this game. But, he did step up. He did make a couple of saves that were important to the result of this game. And I think he is saved by the fact that VAR adjudicated correctly, foul in the buildup, takes the goal off. And that was really the only moment in the entirety of the match that I felt threatened, and I think we felt threatened by Spurs in this game. Outside of that, they were snuffed out. And I would tell you, sign Ange for 5 more years. I want to play his team twice a season. I want an opportunity to go at that team, throw them in I'll take them in every League Cup. I'll take them in every FA Cup. Just give them to me multiple times a season, and we will beat them for you, and we will love doing it.
It's pretty astonishing, right? Like, I applaud a manager who sticks to his guns despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. If that manager is Ange Postecoglou and we play him every week, all right, what they try and do with the personnel that they have.
I need to play him in the championship then. I don't know if I want that fate for us.
No, I mean, what they try and do with the personnel that they have just doesn't make any fucking sense. And this is one of those moments where you're like, Chelsea have been poor for a while. Like, we have not been on a very good tear, and we still went and smacked them. They're so easy to play against, Dan. And you look at the way how open they are, how much their fullbacks press forward. Their midfield is absolutely nowhere ever. There are teams at the bottom of the table who would play us much more comprehensively than what Tottenham tries to do. They try and shock and awe you. Mm-hmm. They try and score a couple early goals and be front runners. And when it doesn't work, there is zero plan B. Like they are just listless. So I would love to play them every week. Yes.
Chelsea have 8 more fixtures now between now and the end of the season. So in the league, they obviously have their conference league matches, and that's going to cause some schedule movement that we have. But I mean, this puts Chelsea. We've said this all along. Chelsea are the owners of their own destiny. They currently sit 4th in the Premier League table after this match. They're at 52 points. They're 5 points behind Forest in 3rd place. They're 1 point ahead of Man City. Newcastle's in 6th. They do have a game in hand. They sit at 50 points, so they could gazump both us and City if they were to win that game in hand. This, though, is what you wanted. We talked about in the pub over drinks beforehand that Chelsea needed over this run of Spurs, Brentford, Ipswich. Minimum 7, but most likely 9 points, because that last run of games where we have Liverpool and Forest are going to make our lives super difficult. And so you need to claim every single point that you can between now and then. And this was the way to start the return off of the men's international break on the best form possible, to take advantage of the fact that not every other Premier League team is playing well. It's a gettable league. It's a gettable top 5. And you get yourself Champions League football, which gets you a better sponsor, which potentially gets you a Nike brand deal or a Jordan deal in terms of your kit. Like, there is so much on the line, not just on what happens with the players next season, what happens in the Club World Cup. This is so critical for this team. And we took a major step forward tonight, getting back some of the form we had seen in December. Again, it wasn't a perfect performance, but I think this would give you confidence in saying this team might have the understanding of what they need to do to close out the season strong.
Yeah, I mean, Enzo Maresca, we're kind of doing this live at midnight on a whatever.
It's 12:28 right now.
Yeah, I'm getting more tired as we go. He said tonight was very important, first of all, because of the performance. We know how important it is in this moment to win games. But since we started to try and win games in the way that we want, I think tonight the performance is as very good, and we are happy. Probably since day one, we don't work every day to win the game in the way that we played the last 10 minutes when we go to the back 5 and all that sort of stuff, right? He says in terms of waiting for them and giving the ball to them. But if you want to become a team, I think you need to also learn how to play the way that we did in the last 10 minutes to win the game in a dirty way. I think for 90 minutes until the added time, we were in control. We created enough chances to win the game, and we created enough chances in the first half. So I think what he's saying is, like, obviously the way that Chelsea played for the better part of 80 plus minutes was much better than, the nerviness for the 12 added minutes at the end, which was nuts. But, like, if you've watched enough Premier League football, this is what happens. Like, if you let a team hang around, eventually you're going to be in a battle, and you're going to have to do some really important work off the ball to ensure that you are able to make it. And the team, to their credit today, unlike in previous performances, really stepped up. There were a lot of really great tackles. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall even making a couple of really nice tackles. Like, this is a big moment for this team, and I'm really excited about that, because I think the more and more you do this, the better at it you get. And I, frankly, have never minded winning a game in a dirty way. I don't care. I'm not an ideologue like that. So just win the fucking games.
Yeah. Well, 1-0 is just as good as 4-3, as 2-1. 3 points is 3 points. A win against Spurs is fantastic. It rewrites our history of watching Spurs games at the Bridge, because that, at least on a fixture level, we're 1-0-1 on at this point. 3 total points across multiple opportunities to see this fixture here at Stamford Bridge. As we kind of think about maybe just some kind of thoughts then on the trip, on the day, on the experience that we had here with 32 individuals who joined us on this trip, to had a chance to see Chelsea beat Spurs at home, to see Chelsea take that big step forward in the Premier League. There's so much that we could say. Again, as our last podcast that we're doing from London before we take a couple days in Edinburgh to just relax and unwind before we head back to the US and deliver more pods to you about Chelsea Football Club. Any just trip thoughts, things you want to kind of touch on?
Yeah, I think quickly to Kara, to Carlos, Adam, Alex, Allison, Alan, Amber, Andres, Andrew, Britton, Chris, Dan, Glenn, our boy from XL Tours, who unfortunately saw his Fulham lose, Jack, Jake, James, John, Josh, Lori, Liz, Lynn, Marcy, Marissa, Michael, Pablo, Phil, Santiago, Tommy, and Zach. It was a great time. It was a great week. We obviously closed on a high here, which was wonderful. But, we do these trips every once in a while because it's fun and it allows for folks who have been thinking about making the pilgrimage, as it were, to have like a cool group to do it with and not have to do it alone or make their own plans or try and secure tickets in a less easier or straightforward way. Our friends at XL Tours really stepped up and helped us put this together, and the group responded in a really cool way. Like there's a lot of downtime, in a week, where the fixture gets moved from a Wednesday to a Thursday. So we had to kind of hack that and figure it out. Wonderful live podcast, some F1 racing, some dinners and drinks and all that sort of stuff. But, the way that every group comes together on these trips is different. And I love to kind of watch that evolution. And I love days like today where you get to see first timers in particular, their eyes light up when they get to the bridge on a match day for the first time, taking the liquidator, go through this whole thing. And it's so fun to see. So just really, really appreciated that. And, love the group.
Yeah, I got a chance to see some of the We Are the Shed stuff for the 120th anniversary.
Brilliant
stuff that they put together and kind of what the club was doing to recognize the history of our amazing football club. I think we love going to the Cock Tavern and did not disappoint again as a pre-match and sneaky post-match type of experience on a Thursday evening when places like to close down around like 10 or 11 and the game is definitely over by that time. That 12 minutes really screwed us on a whole lot of things. One or two extra drinks were definitely not had thanks to that. And yeah, just an amazing group, amazing opportunity to travel again, to see Chelsea play, to meet and re-meet some individuals I've had a chance to have on the trip before, to get a chance to enjoy Kings Meadow and watching the women's play, to get a chance to watch the men's team play, to do a wonderful stadium tour, to go to Richmond and take a little walk around and just enjoy what has been a phenomenal weather week in London.
We got so lucky.
So much sun. That definitely picked up some color here. That's for sure. We've got some freckles spotted.
Our boy from Florida, Jack, got sunburned in London. Go figure.
Yeah. But this kind of wraps up, I think, another one of our wonderful trips to London. Chelsea beat Spurs. The women draw West Ham, but that's okay in the grand scheme of things. It's some great times, great opportunity to connect with other Chelsea supporters. Definitely a few people recognized us, or recognized at least the voices, rather, whether it was in Westview or at the Cock Tavern or walking through Fulham Broadway Station. And if you did, thank you so much for taking a few seconds to stop us and say hello. It means the absolute world to us. This is the thing that we do on top of our day-to-day jobs that we've done now for almost 10 years and 11 seasons. And we can't thank you enough for helping support us and to allow us to go to London to represent you as a listener or as a viewer and to bring you along on these journeys. So thank you for taking a part, whether you came on the trip, whether you're listening from home, whether you're watching on YouTube. We do this because we love the club, and we do hope that you enjoy the content that we're producing when we are on tour from the laptop in London.
The laptop in London.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this one. Until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.